He led the league in tackles last season, and Sunday's World Cup final averaged over 42 million viewers on Fox TV, plus nearly 24 million on Telemundo in this country.
Live from the heart of SEC country, this is your daily fix of grit, guts, and gridiron glory. Welcome to the Deep South College Football Show.
Bowen, here he goes! Georgia retakes the lead!
Breaking down the biggest matchups, the boldest takes, and the deepest rivalries in college football on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC.
Intercepted! They confused him! Xavier Brown headed the other way! Touchdown Tide!
From Fayetteville to Gainesville, from the Grove to Toomer's Corner, it's SEC football.
Chambers delivers! Touchdown!
Now, here's your award-winning host, Wyatt Fulton.
Welcome to another edition of the Deep South College Football Show, right here on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC, your home for Alabama Crimson Tide sports. And today was Alabama Day here in Tampa, Florida for SEC Media Days, as we got to hear from head coach Kalen DeBoer, safety Bray Hubbard, cornerback Xavier Brown, and wide receiver Ryan Coleman Williams here today at SEC Media Days. That's why I got the suit jacket on today, because you always got to look nice when the Crimson Tide rolls into town here. Alongside with me, I got Whitman Clark here in Tampa, Florida. Whitman, how you doing today?
I'm great, man. Alabama Day, you made it sound like it was going to be busy, and busy it has been. We have been off and running since about 7:30 a.m. this morning, off to it from the jump. I mean, we got a lot of the work done early this morning. The people from Alabama were kind enough to give us Kalen DeBoer, give us Bray Hubbard really early before things got hectic. So we've just spent, the last 2 hours typing our fingers off.
Pretty much. Spent about the last 2 hours putting out stories on Tide109.com. As soon as we are done with this show, we're going to turn around and we're going to keep writing for Tide109.com. I've got at least two more. Whitman, how many you got? One or two more left?
One or two.
So we still got some more stories to put out on Tide109.com. We'll hear from Alabama head coach, a little one-on-one sit-down that I had with him for about 6 minutes earlier today, right there on the Deep South College Football Show YouTube page. If you were listening to this on the Tide 100.9 app or on 1230. Wow. Okay.
12:30 a.m. WTBC.
12:30 a.m. WTBC or 100.9 on the FM dial, and you want to go ahead and listen to that Kalen DeBoer interview, you can do so. Simply go to the Deep South College Football Show on YouTube and search. You don't even got to search it. It's like the second video there. Kalen DeBoer, one-on-one sit-down with the Alabama football head coach. So if you want to, head on over to YouTube and you can check that out there. If you want to wait, don't know why you would, but if you want to, we'll play that here in the last segment here on the program.
Well, I understand why they'd want to wait. I mean, they want to hear from us, see what we have to say.
There's been so many major people that have just walked by in the background, by the way. Billy Lucci from Texas A&M went that way. Matt Moscano from LSU went that way. There's Billy yet again. And Marty Smith went that way here as well. SEC Media Days has been nothing more than just a who's who of content creators, media personalities, coaches. I mean, John Summerall. I saw John Summerall walking around here somewhere.
John Summerall, Mike Elko, Kalen DeBoer was right here this morning.
Yeah.
Pete Golding will make his rounds through here shortly.
Kalen DeBoer sat in this seat at, how does it make you feel? Probably about 8 o'clock this morning.
I'm lucky enough to sit in the same chair that Wyatt Fulton did just a little while ago. So big day for everybody.
It is. It's a big day for everybody. Nick Saban's running around here somewhere as he showed up last night. It was really odd getting to see Nick Saban watching Kalen DeBoer answer a question about Kalen DeBoer replacing Nick Saban as the head coach at Alabama. That was really, really odd.
Yes, it was. I was in there, actually. I was about 15 feet to the right of that SEC network stage in the main media room. Nick Saban looked just as locked in as if he was the one doing the press conference himself. I can't imagine what it's like for Kalen DeBoer to have to sit there with, the old guy watching you. But I mean, he's been doing that for 3 years now. It feels like every time Kalen DeBoer gives a big press conference, either Nick Saban is there, Nick Saban is interviewing him on College Game Day, or at the bare minimum, Nick Saban is being asked about.
Yeah, there went John Summerall, head coach of the Florida Gators here. All right, enough talking about what we've seen, just getting to see these people, getting to talk with these people, what these people talk about today here at SEC Media Days. We'll start with the Crimson Tide, as that is who got things started for us here this morning bright and early at 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock here Eastern in Tampa, Florida. Beautiful Tampa, Florida again, by the way, here. Whitman, real quick, before we dive into the content, I was a little confused why we were going to Tampa. Really wasn't excited about the fact that it was Tampa, Florida, but Tampa's treated us really, really well since arriving here Sunday night.
It has. The weather has been outstanding outside of which you're going to get rain in Tampa if you're here for more than 24 hours. But we were lucky enough to be in our Airbnb apartment, getting stories out to all of you beautiful people when the shower hit yesterday. And as far as I can tell today, the skies are as blue as Mr. Summerall's suit over there. So a beautiful day in Tampa. We'll get ready to cap it off here with another SEC Media social hour sort of deal, sort of a closing party of SEC Media Days over at Raymond James Stadium tonight, Wyatt.
Home of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, home of the South Florida Bulls, which former head coach Alex Skolich was running around Tampa here yesterday. Now the head coach of the Auburn Tigers, and
got people a little fired up.
I was a little fired up. Some local media members here in Tampa were fired up. Did a radio hit here and there. But regardless, let's actually dive into the content now, as we are now 8 minutes past the top of the hour, and I've yet to say anything that Kalen DeBoer said today at SEC Media Days. One of the biggest sticking points that I've heard from Alabama today was stacking good days. What do they mean by stacking good days? Well, they mean building upon good practices, right? So if you had a good practice yesterday, you want to go out and have another good practice today. And if you had 2 good practices the last 2 days, you want to go out and have another really good practice tomorrow here. It's stacking those good days. And it's something that Nick Saban mentioned a lot during his tenure as Alabama's head coach. Again, here we are talking about Nick Saban, 3 years since the guy retired. But it's something that he talked about a lot. And Whitman, in my conversation today with Ryan Coleman-Williams, with Bray Hubbard, and even in the big media room with Xavier Brown, I think all 3 of them mentioned, hey, we want to stack good days on top of one another.
And to hit on one quick point that we heard yesterday that really reminds me of that when Clark Lee went on the stage and talked, we mentioned it yesterday. You want to keep stacking those days. You want to build off of what you already have. You don't want to look back to protect what you've built. You want to keep moving forward, keep building forward towards a common goal. What did he say yesterday? As soon as you start to protect the ground that you've covered, you lose sight of what's ahead of you and what's left to gain.
Got me fired up.
I'm still ready to go.
All over again, ready to go run through a brick wall thanks to Coach Lee. But no, Alabama mentioned it again today here. And we got to have conversations with some of these players. But Whitman, you went to electronic media, and am I correct in saying that you got a question to every single member that was here from the Crimson Tide?
Not named Bray Hubbard.
Not named Bray Hubbard. That's okay. We talk to Bray like all the time back in Tuscaloosa. And by that, I mean they give us Bray.
They do.
Just about every Tuesday.
A lot. Kalen DeBoer got him. He actually went into electronic media before his major press conference in the main media room. I was able to ask him about the run game that last year a lot of Alabama fans considered having to suffer, where it was not a good run game. He's answered multiple questions about that today, but I asked him, I said, the run game, it's 2 parts. It's part blocking with your offensive line up front, and it's part the guy with the ball in his hand and the running backs. And I asked him, I said, which half of the run game have you seen the most improvement in throughout spring practice, throughout the winter months? He started off praising his tight ends, Josh Ford, Caleb Pritchett, Marshall Edwards. Or did I get those mixed up? Caleb Edwards, Marshall Pritchett. Yes. 2 young guys that have started to come into their own as members of the Alabama Crimson Tide, as members of that tight end room. But he did turn back to my question and said it was the offensive line so far that has taken major leaps throughout the offseason. Now, he did mention that the reason, or maybe some of the reason he couldn't say running backs, is because they are dealing with some injuries. True freshman running back E.J. Crowell has not been a very active participant throughout the spring due to some lingering injuries that he sustained later in his high school career before coming to Alabama. But Coach DeBoer definitely sounds confident, sounds optimistic about what the offensive line will be able to produce this fall.
And that was a big question that he got during that big media portion there in the big room, which is right behind us here. But hey, you brought in a lot of new faces. You've got some new players along this offensive line, and you've talked so much about physicality. Have you seen this team be a little more physical through spring ball, through summer workouts? Have you seen this team get a little bit more physical, a little bit tougher? And Kalen DeBoer did say, we've seen this team start to get a little bit tougher. We've seen this team start to turn the corner, but we've also still got some pretty big strides to make prior to the first game against East Carolina, which is coming up here in about 45 days.
However, I would not look too far into Coach DeBoer saying that there's still work to do. You mentioned John Summerall over there. I actually caught the tail end of his press conference in the electronic media room, and he reiterated several times over, we are so far from where we need to be right now. That's not tampering expectations. That's not saying that we suck right now. But if, the Florida Gators want to get where they need to go, and obviously if the Alabama Crimson Tide want to get where they want to go, you're not a finished product in July. Certainly not July, because fall camp hasn't even started yet.
Wasn't the statement pretty close, almost exactly, we need to get so much better, we're going to get our ass beat?
Something very similar to that, yes.
Yeah. John Summerall does not hold back when he talks about the Florida Gators here. So why don't we talk about the Florida Gators in the next segment here? But I want to quickly wrap up this Alabama conversation prior to jumping back in with Coach DeBoer here later in the program today. Alabama, Ryan Coleman-Williams has had a phenomenal freshman campaign, didn't have the year that he wanted in year number 2. According to him, it's not the year he wanted, although for a lot of guys, almost 700 yards and 4 touchdowns. I mean, Whitman, there are guys in the transfer portal that were getting $1 million deals that had similar stats to what Ryan Coleman-Williams
similar or less. I mean, you could make that an argument that that's part of just the world in college football that we live in today, or you could go down the avenue of Ryan Coleman-Williams is still really, really good at football, and despite dropping a couple of passes last year, he was still able to put out what many believe to be maybe not a phenomenal season, but certainly a very impressive one at that.
17-year-old true freshman. He's a junior at 19 years old. He's going to graduate this December with his degree in 2.5 years. Incredibly impressive from Ryan Coleman-Williams. But he has mentioned, hey, there's some things that I needed to work on. I needed to, put in the extra work, stack those good days. That's where that sentiment came from again. Stack those really good days as we are preparing for the 2026 college football season. Kalen DeBoer, the entire defense, he himself, Whitman, they all expect a big season out of the young star.
They certainly do. And for good reason. I think you could count on one hand, certainly receivers, but maybe players in the country that have more talent inside of, underneath that jersey, underneath that helmet than a guy like Ryan Coleman-Williams. I mean, we saw it the second he stepped foot on Bryant-Denny Stadium. His first 2 touches as a member of the Crimson Tide were 65-yard plus touchdowns. One went for north of 80 yards. His 4th ever college football game, he decimates one of the best defenses of this decade in a Kirby Smart-led Georgia Bulldog defense.
So excited to see what's coming next here for the Crimson Tide. We'll go ahead and take our first time out. Coming back on the other side, let's talk a little Florida Gators, as it appears John Summerall is getting ready to walk again behind us here. Before we jump in this next ad break here, though, and pay some bills that we need to pay, I want to tell you guys about Pearl River Resort. They've done an incredible job allowing us to travel to Tampa, Florida. Whitman, they've treated us so well. We can't say thank you enough to them for allowing us to be in Tampa, Florida this week. So big shout out to Pearl River Resort. Be sure and go let them know that a Tide 100.9 sent you. Pearl River Resort, the sportsbook at Golden Moon Casino over in Choctaw, Mississippi. Coming back on the other side, let's talk a little Gators as we are in Gator country down here in Tampa, Florida on Tide 100.9 at 12:30 a.m.
Dodge Ram, Tuscaloosa's destination for iconic Jeeps. Drive a new 2026 Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cab 4x4 priced at $54,529.
Hey, this is Wyatt Fulton from Tide 100.9. We are live down here in Tampa, Florida for SEC Media Days 2026, presented to you by Pearl River Resort and the Sportsbook at Golden Moon Casino. Tune in all week on Tide 100.9 for press conferences, updates, and interviews from all 16 teams across the Southeastern Conference as we get you ready for the 2026 college.
Oil for free. Get a free oil filter and more during the Celebrate Free event at AutoZone, now through July 27th.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
What does it mean to advertise and do your marketing with Town Square Media Tuscaloosa? Melissa started her business in 2014. What would you say to someone considering Town Square Media Tuscaloosa?
My experience with Town Square Media has been awesome, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone. I think that this is the first time in my marketing experience that I've been able to see my return on investment. I would definitely say in the past that has not been the case. In this, I like knowing that that's 100%. A lot of the marketing we've done has been radio. You guys have so much more to offer than that, whether it's, websites, from targeted marketing to radio. You are kind of a one-stop shop, and it makes doing marketing so much easier. So I would definitely recommend it.
For more info on marketing with Town Square Media Tuscaloosa, call 205-345-7200 or click on Advertise with Us on our website. Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Here's your Tuscaloosa and West Alabama forecast. Dangerous heat this afternoon, 95. Feeling like 105. A gentle southeast breeze and a pop-up shower or storm late afternoon into the early evening. Those storms will fade away. Clouds expected overnight, 77. Thursday and Friday bring sunshine, lower 90s, but thunderstorm chances become likely. Stay hydrated and cool this afternoon. This is meteorologist Richard DeWetting for Town Square Media Tuscaloosa.
It's 88 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Your home for Alabama Crimson Tide football. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Deep South College Football Show right here on Tide 100.9 and 12:30 AM WTBC. Whitman, I thought about wearing the shades today for the show because we're talking a little bit about the Florida Gators, and the future of the Florida Gators is incredibly bright under head coach John Sumrall.
Play of the year, Wyatt. I'm just going to clap it up for that one. That was impressive. When did you come up with that?
About 20 seconds ago.
Look, that's impressive. That is.
Either that or I don't know. We were gawking at Marty's hairline, and so I was a little distracted. But
you could just look. I mean, you might need to wear the sunglasses to look at Marty's hair. I might. He's normally pretty shiny.
I just got the point here, but we're talking a little bit about the Florida Gators here. The future is incredibly bright under Coach John Sumrall here in Gainesville. Brings in a transfer quarterback with Aaron Philo, in addition to retaining the guy who was the backup to DJ Lagway last season. For those that don't remember, DJ Lagway, now a member of the Baylor Bears. Baylor Bears. Sorry, I got the mascot confused. Now a member of Baylor's football team. So Florida's got a new head coach, a new starting quarterback, same starting running back in Jaden Baugh, who I saw running around here somewhere, but thankfully did not try to truck any media members because
he would do it.
Yeah, he would do it.
He would succeed.
He would do it. He's trucking, 250-pound defensive or 250-pound linebackers and 300-pound defensive linemen on Saturdays.
I'd hate
and if
to
he
see
did it to a media member, I might just explode if he hit me.
Implode, maybe. Both. Maybe even disintegrate.
Yeah. It's like Thanos, and I'm gone. I'm absolutely out of here. But, Whitman, John Sumrall is somebody that I've really, really enjoyed getting to listen to at points today. Granted, in points, I haven't listened to everything he said today, but he does a really, really good job of not lying. He's just a flat-out truth teller, and that, look, Florida's got to get much better. Florida's got a lot of steps ahead of them, but when you look at what the Gators have on offense, you can't help but get at least a little bit excited. Even if you remove the quarterback spot, you still have Dallas Wilson, Eric Singleton, and Jaden Baugh as three of your top options on this offense.
There may be 10 teams in the country that can say that they have three skilled players that are that good. And I think 10 is a little generous. You may get closer to like 7 or 8.
Yeah. When you look at Florida here, we are really excited for what the Gators bring to the table this season. Now, the schedule is not the easiest thing in the world. The computer is a little bit further back than it normally is, and my cell phone is currently running this show. So, Whitman, would you please give me a second to pull up the Florida Gators football schedule, because it may not be the easiest thing in the world, but with a guy like John Sumrall that, he's juiced. I mean, I'm sitting there watching him with On 3, and this guy's on 11. And it looks like he's been on 11 all day long.
I think if he did an interview in the bathroom, we'd hear him from here. I mean, and it's been that way ever since he was announced as the next head coach of the Florida Gators. This guy is a motivator as far as motivators go. I can't imagine there's not a single person in this room right now that if he got up behind him with a whistle, they wouldn't get to work.
My feet would start chopping if John Summerall got behind me with the whistle here. But you look at the schedule for Florida here this season. They open the season against Florida Atlantic and Campbell. So two easy. I don't want to disrespect the opponent, but two easier games to kind of work their way into the season here. Then you open SEC play on the road in Jordan-Hare Stadium against the Auburn Tigers. And we heard from Alex Golish yesterday. Whitman, I don't know where he said this, whether it was, with one of the Auburn beat reporters that's here or if it was in electronic media. I know it wasn't the main room because we were in the main room, or if it was, just in a random radio spot. Maybe he said it on the SEC network. I don't really know. But he said Florida better be ready for week number 3 because we're coming.
Bold statement. However, I did hear Summerall mention while I was in there in electronic media waiting for him to get out of the way so that way I believe it was Brian Coleman-Williams could step in behind him. That's not anything more than a playful jab at his former fellow American coaching opponent, we should say. He finished his statement, he got asked about it, and he finished the statement with me and Alex are very good friends, very tight. Like I said, they've been coaching against each other for several years now. Obviously, Golish here in Tampa in South Florida, John Summerall at Tulane over in New Orleans, both members of the American Athletic Conference, both new members of the Southeastern Conference at Auburn and Florida.
New members of the Southeastern Conference when you look at Alex Golish and John Summerall here. But you've got that matchup with Auburn early in the season. Then you come home against Ole Miss. Well, last time Ole Miss went to the Swamp, it did not go really in favor of the Rebels here. On the road at Missouri, you play South Carolina, and then you start to move into some of the, what I would call the teeth of Florida's schedule here.
Those are some sharp teeth, man.
Yeah. At Texas on October the 17th, Georgia in Atlanta on Halloween, and November 7th, you play Oklahoma back in Gainesville there. And then, again, by the way, you end the season with Florida State going to Tallahassee. And if Mike Norvell is still the head coach at Florida State at that point in time, he's coaching for his job. And it's everything plus the kitchen sink is coming Florida's direction. Because if he can beat Florida, then maybe it gets him another season in Tallahassee, if he's still there by the time that game rolls around the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Yes, it does. But Wyatt, I'm going to go back to this 3-game stretch. Texas, Georgia, Oklahoma. You get both sides of the Red River Shootout, as well as the back-to-back reigning conference champion in the Georgia Bulldogs sandwiched in between. That is a monster of a 3-week stretch, and there's a good chance that's the hardest 3-week stretch in college football this year. If I'm a Florida Gator fan, I'm obviously not walking into this going cakewalk Freeman. That's just not the case. However, I do want to reiterate, if 0-3 in that stretch is to occur, I don't think it's a throw your hands up, light the program on fire type of ordeal, especially off of last year's was a 4-8 finish, just not really what the Gators wanted to do, not living up to the Florida Gator standard in Gainesville. However, I would really harp in as a Gator fan on those 3 games to see if maybe they eke one out. Maybe they finally turn the page against the Georgia Bulldogs. Maybe they go on the road and keep it close in Austin. They knocked off the Texas Longhorns last year in the Swamp. Probably won't happen in Austin, Texas with, I believe now it's a little over 100,000 fans in DKR every Saturday. And then, of course, you get the Oklahoma Sooners at home. But at that point, we can only assume Oklahoma will be in the thick of the playoff hunt, looking to keep themselves in the mix on the road. You're going to get the Sooners' best shot, regardless of where you play this late in the season.
Absolutely. So for Florida, it may not necessarily be this, hey, we're going to go 10-2. We're going to make the college football playoff in year number 1, despite the fact that you've got a coach with college football playoff experience here. But I think the schedule is a little bit more manageable than what a lot of people expected under John Summerall. And again, SEC Media Days, it's nothing but coach speak, and we're all really excited because our guy showed a little bit of energy, right? My head coach showed a little bit of energy on that podium, or he had a clip go viral of, I set standards at this program, or we want to be more physical. We want to run the football. By the way, Whitman Clark, I set standards.
Yeah, that's not what he didn't say. I set standards. Alex Golish yesterday, depending on what side of the aisle you sit on as an SEC fan, if you're an Auburn fan over here or you're anybody else over here, your interpretation of the question that I asked Alex Golish yesterday is probably a little different than the other. I asked him, what is your definition of success in year one as the head coach of the Auburn Tigers? And he got himself into a little bit of hot water by starting off by saying, I don't set goals. They're sort of like New Year's resolutions. You follow them for a couple of weeks and then it just kind of fades off, or you just kind of keep it moving. I set standards. Now, I talked with some people last night. They probably suggested, hey, maybe we start with I set standards, not goals.
Yeah.
But he didn't. And the quote, I don't set goals, took off on Twitter. I remember we had a lot of really good laughs about that over dinner last night over at Duffy's Sports Bar.
No free advertising on the show, by the way, here. But regardless, though, we're gonna have a lot of fun here as we get ready for the second half of the program here at SEC Media Days, as Jordan Rogers decides to come hang out here at the Tide 100.9 table. So we'll go ahead and take our next time out here. Don't forget, we'll hear from Alabama head coach Kalen DeBoer from earlier this morning here in just a couple of moments right here on the Deep South College Football Show, the Deep South College Football Show YouTube page, Tide 100.9.
Bluetooth kits, and so much more. If your golf cart needs repairs, the pros at Dixie Custom Carts can handle the job. Dixie Custom Carts, Greensboro Avenue in Tuscaloosa.
What does it mean to advertise and do your marketing with Town Square Media Tuscaloosa? Melissa started her business in 2014. What would you say to someone considering Town Square Media Tuscaloosa?
My experience with Town Square Media has been awesome, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone. I think that this is the first time in my marketing experience that I've been able to see my return on investment. I would definitely say in the past that has not been the case. In this, I like knowing that that's 100%. A lot of the marketing we've done has been radio. You guys have so much more to offer than that, whether it's, websites, from targeted marketing to radio. You are kind of a one-stop shop, and it makes doing marketing so much easier. So I would definitely recommend it.
For more
at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. For more from Tide 100.9, let's it fly and fans it. Whoa. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and SoundCloud.
Welcome back to the Deep South College Football Show. We talked a little bit about Florida. We talked a little bit about Alabama. We'll jump back to the Crimson side here. But this segment, we've got two teams that we're going to talk about here, the Ole Miss Rebels and the Texas A&M Aggies. Now, we've seen Texas A&M walking around a little bit here, right, with Mike Elko, Marcel Reed, and the coalition of Aggie players that are here alongside those two. Whitman, we didn't really get a chance to listen to much of Texas A&M, did we?
Did not. That was right around the time of lunch. A lot of typing going on. Our man Ryan Fowler did get a quick walk and talk interview with Mike Elko.
He did.
But as far as the Deep South College Football Show goes, we are slightly limited on Aggie football coverage today.
So let's rehash a little bit of what we like about Texas A&M this season, right? When you look at the quarterback, Marcel Reed, right? He is a guy that so many people have so many hot takes on. He's been, Heisman contending type of guy at one point, and then at other points he's been
bench him.
Yeah, you've been asking to bench him if you're a Texas A&M fan, and it's the same guy that put you in a 31-3 hole or in a 30-3 hole against South Carolina, but it's also the same guy
pulled you out of it,
got you out of that 30-3 hole against South Carolina. So I think the biggest thing for Marcel Reed this season is we got to see a little bit more of that consistency. And I'm sure he's probably been asked about it. I'm sure he mentioned it today. But we weren't in those rooms because we were busy typing up a storm for what we saw from Alabama today. But even with Alabama being the main focal point of our day today, we still got to hear a little bit about Texas A&M and what Isaiah Horton and Wilkin Formby bring to the table, because the Alabama players were asked numerous times about what do Isaiah Horton and Wilkin Formby, what do they bring to College Station?
I'll tell you, you're exactly right. I was at the Ryan Coleman Williams table during the player breakout session in the main media room behind us when it was Alabama's turn at the podium. And I believe there were about 3 or 4 different Bryant College Station area reporters that were there to ask Ryan Coleman Williams specifically about Isaiah Horton, specifically about Wilkin Formby. Now, he, of course, had nothing but great things to say about the hard worker that Wilkin Formby is, the kind of teammate that guy is. A reporter jokingly asked, did you guys just up and run him out of town? And he said, no, they decided that was what was best for their career, to head over to College Station, Texas, and we wish them nothing but the best. And I'm sure the same applies to Isaiah Horton as well.
Great stand-up young gentleman that everybody brought here today to SEC Media Days. It really does, Whitman. It really does feel like we haven't quite gotten the fireworks that we're used to getting at SEC Media Days right now. That may all change at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning when Lane Kiffin and the LSU Tigers take the podium.
I was going to say, that's because for the first 3 days, we've been shooting off sparklers in the driveway. We've yet to unpackage the El Diablo fireball that normally seems to be the crescendo of all these 4th of July fireworks celebrations.
Yeah, the El Diablo whatever.
Of the SEC.
Yeah. We have not yet lit the match that is attached to the Lane Kiffin firework there in Baton Rouge. But really, really excited for what we may get to hear tomorrow morning.
It's exactly what he said in one of his last trips to Tuscaloosa as the head coach of the Ole Miss Rebels. Kept it short, kept it sweet, put the headset on, get your popcorn ready, took that thing straight off.
Hopefully, SEC Media Days ends a little bit better than that game did for him as a member of the Ole Miss Rebel football program. But now he's with the LSU Tigers here. Before we, kind of wrap back into what we want to hear tomorrow and what we heard from Alabama today, we also heard a little bit from Ole Miss. You got to listen to some of the players at Ole Miss here today.
Yes, I did. I had a little bit of time before we had to start prepping for the show. I was able to catch Trinidad Chambliss over in the electronic media room up on the front row. Not a huge crowd in there, about 10 to 15 reporters, so I was able to get a couple questions off to him. I asked him, at the end of last season, he was certainly one of the more dynamic quarterbacks in college football. He was certainly at somewhere on everybody's top 5 list of the best quarterbacks in the sport. However, there weren't very many first-round grades on Trinidad Chambliss. Yeah. If he were to go to the NFL draft in April, he was sort of mocked as a second, maybe even third-round guy, depending on how it played out. And I asked him, I said, you were mocked as a second or a day 2 kind of pick in last year's NFL draft. I asked him, I said, what are you looking to show to the scouts, to the GMs, to the head coaches of those 32 teams in the National Football League? What are you going to show them to prove to them that you are a night number 1, you are a first-round draft pick kind of guy? He gave me the coach speak answer. He said, I want to show them that I'm a competitor. I'm the kind of guy that does what it takes to win. I keep my head down. He said he gets better every single day, whether it was at Ferris State, the Division II program where he won a national championship, or whether it was at the Ole Miss Rebels as a member of the Southeastern Conference. So I'm sure he's looking forward to getting out on the field, proving some of those doubts wrong when it comes to his future in the NFL, maybe being a first-round draft pick next April. And then I wanted to know what it was like for a quarterback to go from playing with an offensive mastermind in Lane Kiffin, to a defensive mastermind in Pete Golding. I asked him, what's the difference between dealing with an offensive-minded head coach versus a defensive-minded head coach? And for him, he praised the Ole Miss defense. He said, every day in practice, it feels like I'm facing the best defense in the country. Bit of a tall glass to fill with that statement. However, they've got the dudes on that team to go and back that up this year. But he said, to get back to your question, really the only difference between the two is I probably just don't talk to Pete Golding as much throughout practice as I would my old head coach, as he is working with the other side of the ball. And if I had to assume, it would probably just force him to form a bit of a stronger relationship with his offensive coordinator than maybe he had last year.
And I would give a lot of credit to Ole Miss players. I didn't get to talk to some of them, but I've been hearing pieces throughout the day. I've been, reading some transcripts, seeing some stuff coming out online. And the Ole Miss players have done a really, really good job of not letting what happened with Lane Kiffin affect them at this point in time, right? Because you got to think that was over 6 months ago. It was almost 8 months ago that the Lane Kiffin saga went the way that it did, where he decided to leave Ole Miss and go to LSU in the middle of the playoff run. And then Ole Miss went on and won 2 playoff games, played in the third, but unfortunately, the Rebels fell short to Miami in the Fiesta Bowl. But I will give a lot of credit to Ole Miss's players, Pete Golding. As media reporters tried. We tried.
And they have.
Not we, but they tried.
They have.
They tried to get him to fight. They threw the rod out there, made it jump a little bit, trying to get the fish to bite, and
wouldn't do it.
Pete Golding and the Land Sharks, Rebels and Bears, whatever the hell they are at this point. Pete Golding and the Land Sharks did not bite whatsoever on that hook. Really, really want to give props to them. It's impressive that they didn't bite.
They have not, and they haven't since Kiffin took the LSU job back in late November. I mean, I would be surprised if Trinidad Chambliss has been asked more questions about himself and his own football program than he has about his relationship with his head coach, about what happened with the departure of his head coach, about the LSU Tigers. And quite frankly, you're not, in my opinion, you're not going to get those questions put to rest. Like, it is going to be LSU, Lane Kiffin. It is going to be Trinidad Chambliss and Ole Miss for Lane Kiffin until that week 3 matchup in Oxford, Mississippi. I think only then and only then will we finally put this conversation to rest and realize that Trinidad plays for Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin coaches for LSU. They no longer have any ties to one another, and that's just, it is what it is. The media is riding the hell out of this story until the wheels fall off, and I guess I don't blame them, but it does get a little redundant sometimes.
It's July. We're the media. We always are looking for storylines here.
Anything.
Yes, we look for as many storylines as we can possibly get here in the off-season here. Now, moving on to tomorrow, the final 4 teams in the SEC are going to take a stand. It's LSU with Lane Kiffin. It's Arkansas with Ryan Silverfield. It's
Texas
with Steve Sarkisian.
Mississippi State with Jeff Levy.
So what are we really expecting to see here tomorrow, right? Because everybody and their mother. Thursday's going to, let me let y'all in on a little secret here. Thursday's going to get the hell out of town today, where, you check out of your Airbnb, you check out of your hotel, and you probably skip the last 2 or 3 coaches, and you say, yep, see ya, we're out of here. We're going to leave early. We're going to beat the traffic, or we got to travel, back to halfway across the conference. For us, it's a 9-hour drive tomorrow morning.
Yes, it is. I'm so excited for that, by the way.
The 9-hour drive down was great. Can't wait to see what the second 9-hour drive is going to do. Regardless, so what is it going to be, right? What are we going to see tomorrow? Normally Thursdays get out of town day. That's not the case tomorrow. The fact that they put probably the team that's favored to win the SEC, not the favorite. They are not favored. One of them. They are the favorite to win the SEC and the Texas Longhorns. And then you put Lane Kiffin and LSU on that last day as well. By the way, smart by the SEC to also put Texas very dead last. I believe Texas is the final team that's going to take a stand tomorrow. LSU the first. So you get all the excitement with Lane Kiffin. You get an unfortunate lull in the middle of the day with Arkansas and Mississippi State. No disrespect to those programs, but
it's not a point in television.
They're sandwiched in between LSU and Texas. Like, the SEC did those 2 schools dirty, did those 2 head coaches dirty, and the fact that Ryan Silverfield is a new head coach and he's already being treated like this does not bode well for his future in the conference. And I'm sure the Arkansas guy that sits right beside us would agree.
Well, being the head coach at Arkansas also does not always bode very well for the future of, your coaching career or as a coach in the SEC, but that's okay. A lot of expectations for Ryan Silverfield over in Fayetteville, at least from Razorback fans. I don't think members of the media outside of Fayetteville, Arkansas are very high on the Razorbacks this year. I think it's a lot like last year where it's just we got to win a game or 2 in the conference. We got to play well in our non-con. We've got to find a way to stack those days. If you want to revisit that reference, maybe stack a couple of seasons on top of each other before the Razorbacks are, really ready to contend with the top dogs that'll go first and last in tomorrow's wrap-up of SEC Media Days.
We mentioned looking forward with Texas A&M. We'll go ahead and take our next break, but I want to let you guys know that we also want to thank Taco Casa for sending us to SEC Media Days here. They do an incredible job under the biggest cactus in town. It's quality, taste, and value for what feels like forever, honest to God, at this point.
They have been here a while.
Yeah, from the time that I can remember even thinking about the city of Tuscaloosa, Taco Casa was already a staple in the city. So we really, really appreciate them for helping us travel for SEC Media Days. Go check them out on the biggest cactus in town. That is Taco Casa. Coming back on the other side, let's hear from the interview with Alabama head coach Kalen Moore. My first interview with Kalen Moore one-on-one. It was about 6 minutes long here, but really excited that we got to do that here. By the way, now with this interview, Tide 100.9 has gotten Kalen Moore on every single show that we have. That's Martin Houston from 6 to 7 a.m. It's Whippet Berry from 7 to 9. It's Gary Harris from 9 to 11. Christian Miller from 11 until 1. Myself from 1 until 2. And then, of course, the game with Ryan Fowler from 2 until 6 p.m. So let's hear from Alabama head coach Kalen Moore here in the next segment as we get ready for the 4th quarter of a Thursday edition. No, Wednesday edition. Sorry, my days are all mixed up.
It's been a long week.
It has. The fourth quarter of the Wednesday edition of Deep South College Football Show.
This hour's West Alabama real-time news update from the Tuscaloosa Thread Newsroom.
A Texas-based company has purchased roughly 1,200 acres of land near Brookwood Middle School for a $21.5 million data center. A heat advisory is in effect for all of West Alabama for heat indices upwards of 105 degrees through this evening. Tide football coach Kayla DeMoore told SEC Media Days they know where they need to improve.
We want to be able to run the football better. I think that will help our overall team. That will help overall.
The Sherwin-Williams Summer Sale is here. Get 30% off select paints and stains or 35% off our newest product, Emerald Symmetry, July 17th through the 27th. Whether you're refreshing your interior or exterior, we've got the colors to bring your vision to life. And with delivery, getting everything to your door is easier than ever. Shop online to have it delivered or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details. Delivery available on qualifying orders.
Or stop by on Skyland Boulevard. Mercedes-Benz of Tuscaloosa. For those who know the difference. Mercedes-of-Tuscaloosa.com. Mercedes-of-Tuscaloosa.com.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on the Wednesday edition of The Game, Alabama Day. Here at SEC Media Days, we're going to have live coverage starting at 2 p.m. on The Game with Ryan Fowler, Kalen Thor, Ryan Coleman-Williams, Xavier Brown, Bray Hubbard make center stage here in Tampa. Where will the Tide be picked? What will be the conversations? We'll discuss those wall-to-wall for 4 hours here on The Game. We'll talk to Jordan Rogers, who's going to be a part of our show. Billy Lucci's going to be a part of our show. Wes Neighbors is going to be a part of our show. He's always got that famous phrase. We'll talk about it starting at 2 p.m. here on The Game on Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest-running sports talk show in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on Tide 100.9 and 1230 a.m. WTBC. And streaming worldwide on the free Tide app. Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Here's your Tuscaloosa and West Alabama forecast. Dangerous heat this afternoon, 95. Feeling like 105. A gentle southeast breeze and a pop-up shower or storm late afternoon into the early evening. Those storms will fade away. Clouds expected overnight, 77. Thursday and Friday bring sunshine, lower 90s, but thunderstorm chances become likely. Stay hydrated and cool this afternoon. This is meteorologist Richard Wedding for Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
It's 92 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Follow Tide 100.9 on Facebook today to watch our live shows, read the great articles, and interact with Bama fans today.
Sir, all right, ready? We're live at SEC Media Days with Alabama head coach Kalen DeMoore. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm great. You got a busy morning.
Absolutely, and want to go ahead and dive right into it here. Just third time at SEC Media Days. Does it get any easier running the media circuit?
Well, it's third time at SEC, and there's a lot of times overall. The 13th time, I can't remember how many years now it's been a head coach, but. It's fun. It's enjoyable talking about your team, bringing the guys that we brought with, Brian and Xavier and Bray. They represent us so well. It's always the thing that gives you kind of okay, the season's here. We get media days, and so looking forward to what happens here in just a couple weeks.
You had mentioned previously on the Martin Houston show, one of our shows here on Tide 100.9, that you've been through numerous quarterback battles, and so I'm curious, with your experience and the fact that you've got one going on right now, what do you look for in a quarterback that you feel comfortable, hey, this guy can go out and lead our football team?
Well, first, there's got to be a belief and confidence that your entire team has in that quarterback. And right now, I feel very comfortable with both quarterbacks having that. And so what you really got to have, though, is a guy that can take the ball up and down the field, and who does that the most consistently is really who you need to choose. It doesn't matter how that happens. There's things you're going to look for the poise in big moments, not just in the pocket on every pass concept. The way a guy responds, the way he can command, not just in the huddle, but just everything that surrounds him. Moving the ball up and down the field really comes down to. And so the accuracy in passing game, the understanding and knowledge of not just our offense, but the defense we're going to face, how to attack with our weapons. And so we try to make it as simple as we can. Try not to kind of make it harder than it needs to be. But it's going to be a hard decision this year because we got two really good players.
What are some of the biggest improvements that you've seen from both these guys from the start of spring practice to where we are getting ready for fall camp?
Mm-hmm. I think their assertiveness with the entire team. It's real. It's genuine. They want to be great individually. They each want the starting role. They love this team. They love the grind. They love the work. Everything that goes along with what it takes to be great. And they're putting in. We talk about action, not just words, but action. And these guys and their actions speak louder than anything they can say. But they're vocal guys. They'll say the things that need to be said. They'll get out in front of the team. I think probably if you dive into individual, I think Keelan, there's things with the offense he just continues to grow with as he gets more reps. I think Austin knew the offense and just continue to keep it simple. Yeah. And continue to think about how he can utilize the skill sets around him, the personnel around him. I think he's done a great job with that as well.
Speaking of improvements, you brought Ryan Coleman-Williams with you here today. Freshman season, came on as a superstar, maybe didn't quite have the year he wanted to last year. Just the maturity around him to be able to handle everything with that and going into his third season.
Yeah, I think the way you said it is actually really good. By most people's standards, what Ryan did last year probably would still be pretty solid. Ryan's expectations and our expectations of Ryan, are that, he's elite and the best, and so he's just, again, it comes down to action, Ryan's actions and what he's done this offseason. He's always had that work ethic. He's always put in the time. But he's really, I think, understood where he needs to improve and really address those areas. Is locked in and focused on having a big year.
A big theme here at SEC Media Days this week has been physicality here. You guys made a lot of changes along that offensive line room, trying to improve from last season. Just same thing. Where have you seen some biggest improvements in that room so far?
Yeah, I think there's a physicality that exists within our program, within our team, but the offensive line and the run game in particular, as we all know, needs to be better to win games at the championship level. We got to the championship, the SEC championship, and we had a 7-1 record. And so I think there's a lot of things that says, okay, there's good things happening, but we fell short. And to win the SEC championship, to make a national championship run, we do need to improve there. I think there's a mindset. You got to have personnel. You got to have the talent. You got to have the great coaching and bringing people together that create a mindset of trust and belief. And I feel Coach Clem, Coach Drug is the coordinator. The guys we brought in, they're eager to get out there on the football field during fall camp and continue to improve, keep doing the work that's necessary for us to be where we want to be.
Last question here. What's one thing that you're seeing from this team as you move through spring practice, as you're getting ready for fall camp, that you really are liking to see and fans are going to love to see this fall?
These guys have just really stayed the course. And I think the guys that were on the team last year understood what that looks like and what is necessary. And that has trickled into the players now that have come into the program. And any doubts or beliefs that are from the external and the outside world really are not internally, amongst us. They know they can't change that until we step on the football field in Saturdays in the fall. So right now, what they've done an awesome job is just continue to focus on the work in the weight room, doing the things that's necessary in the classroom, the meeting rooms, on the practice field, individually, whatever that we can do, together as units. These guys have just really taken every day, been intentional about their work, and looking forward to seeing how that pays off.
That's Alabama head coach Kalen DeBoer. Coach, I appreciate you. Good luck this season.
Thank you.